Hello, my name is Jon Tait and welcome to this Flip Masterclass on challenge. And this is the essential pre-session video ahead of the face-to-face session that we'll be doing later this week on challenge. Now, like all of the Flip Masterclass videos that I do, the best way to get the most out of this is to pause it, rewind it, take some notes, and maybe reflect on it with your colleagues and have discussions about some of the key points in here prior to the face-to-face session itself, where we will unpack this in more detail and talk about some of these examples and your experience of it in the classroom. First thing I want to say about challenge really is something that's maybe has been quite controversial in the last few years. Is I think that as teachers we've all been kind of trained on differentiation, and I think all that's probably done is put a ceiling on lots of students' achievements, whether it's different worksheets, whether it's students doing things on different times or making things easier for them, or giving them more support. And ultimately with the GCSE exam reforms, all that happens now is students go in and sit the same exams in the same time conditions, and we kind of pull all that support away at the last minute. So this video is all about teaching to the top and really pushing and challenging students to achieve the very, very best they can, and not doing it the other way around by giving them loads and loads of support to start with and then pulling it away at the final hurdle. Okay, I'm going to give you 10 practical tips, my top 10 tips for challenge, and hopefully you'll be able to either recognize some of these that you've already employed in your classroom or maybe go back to them again if you've done them before and maybe forgotten about them, or there might be some new ideas that you can employ for the first time. Okay. Number one is exactly what I said, teach to the top. Really push students, rather than starting from the bottom and then building and giving students extension work. Actually, go to the top, teach to the top, bring people with you, and demonstrate to students and to everyone the type of language that you want to use, and really push students all the way. And it's amazing what you can get out of students if you really push them and you really have high expectations for them at all times, rather than losing your top end because you just give them extension work. Well, actually, let's start there. Let's really push and let's make sure that we don't have any we make no apologies for our lessons being hard, and really kind of almost making students' heads hurt. You are going to work hard today. We're really going to push hard, and I know you can do this, and have faith in them. Number two is building a fail-safe environment. In order to teach to the top, you need to make sure that students aren't scared of failing. And there's lots of things in this to make sure that they're happy to try and they're happy to get things wrong. And it's about explaining to students that when we get things wrong, that's how we learn. We don't learn by being lucky. And I always go back to the point of if you ever touched a red hot iron when you were younger, it's probably the last time you've ever touched an iron, even if it's not on. That front of the iron, because your body has worked out and learned from that experience. And I think that we only learn by making mistakes and then working out what we've done and then not to do that again. So it's making sure your environment in your classroom supports that. It's a trustworthy environment. People aren't going to ridicule others for getting things wrong, and it's okay to get things wrong because we're working really, really hard and because this is hard. And if you can really get that and start to mold that in your classroom, then all these other things will be able to follow suit. Number three is models of excellence. Using models of excellence to demonstrate to students what excellence actually looks like. And if you think about the last time you bought, let's say, some flat pack furniture from somewhere like IKEA, did you go to the instructions straight away? Or were you like me and did you go to the picture on the box and actually look at, well, what does this look like? And halfway through, you probably referred back to that picture. Does this look like what I'm trying to make now? And it's the same with education. We need to demonstrate and show students what we're aiming for, what excellence looks like. And that's not a cop-out, and it's not making it easy for students. But as in real life, we'd want to know, if I'm building a table or a seat or a chest of drawers, what am I aiming for? What does it look like? And when I've got to there, does mine look like that one? Well, if you're not, then I haven't done something right. So it's all about that. And then deconstructing those models. Actually taking the time to deconstruct them and talk about why it's a good model. Why is this model better than this model? What's this got that this one hasn't got? And then get students to actually grade them as well. Put some models of excellence up on the board or varying degrees of quality and get them to actually describe why one is better than the other. Once you get into the heads of students and have that mindset happening, then they will be far greater and far better at creating their own excellence because they've seen what one looks like and they understand why it's excellent. Okay, number four is resilience. And I hear lots and lots of teachers all the time talking about we want students to have resilience, we need them to have resilience, or they haven't got resilience, they're really annoying me. But actually, have we actually taught that resilience? I think this is a skill that we need to do, because lots of students won't have that resilience inbuilt from them from home for whatever different circumstances they've been through. So it's about how can we give them that? How can we teach them resilience? Two things that we're using, or that I've used previously, is the 3B before me. So rather than students just getting stuck and putting their hands up in the air, you want to tell them, I want you to get unstuck yourself. So use the 3 B's before me. Use your brain, use your buddy, person next to you, and use your book. Then become to me the boss. So 3B before me. Brain, book, buddy, then the boss. Another thing we're using is silent time. And having a period of silence in each lesson, whether it's 5 minutes, whether it's 10 minutes, and you can choose, obviously with the type of class you have in front of you, but actually having that time where this is silent time. You're not allowed to ask me a question. Anything you get stuck on, you're going to have to work it through yourself and get unstuck. And very quickly, we're starting to build the opportunities for them to be resilient, them to demonstrate resilience in the lesson by having a period of silent time every lesson where students will work independently, and if they get stuck, they have to get unstuck themselves rather than just immediately putting their hand up, because that's no good in an exam. They can't put their hand up in an exam, and if they've been used to that all the time, then what happens? They come to a question, they're stuck on it, and they just think, right, well, I can't answer it, I'll move to the next one, without really trying to unpick it themselves. Next one, number 5, it's about lesson pace, and it's timing your activities. And it's about using visual timers. Put timers on your board and time activities, and really push students. Right, I'm going to give you a period of time to do this, and there's the clock, and it's ticking down on the board, and this is how long you've got left. Rather than just kind of waiting until they are finished, because they're in control of the time. Have a visual timer, and you'll suddenly start to see rapid improvements in pace, in challenge in your lesson, because everything you're going to time it. Right, come on, work hard. I need you to work hard. I need you to get more done before that clock ticks down. And if they can see that clock ticking down, that's really important. So don't just time it on your own watch. This is about them seeing the time and them being pushed themselves and driving themselves by seeing that clock tick down on the board. Loads of digital timers on the internet. Go and pick one. There's egg timers, there's digital clocks, there's sands of time, there's all sorts of stuff. So find one that you like or that the students like and start using that to time your activities. Next one, number 6, is linked to timing, and it's 2 minutes is too long. And what I mean by this is, whenever we talk to students or adults in our lives, we say so often, I'll be back in 2 minutes, or just wait 2 minutes. And we're never, ever, ever 2 minutes. Never. 2 minutes really means anything between 2 minutes and 15 minutes. Think about the last time you said it, or think about the last time someone said it to you. And if we know that and our students know that, it means that when you time an activity and you say you're going to have 2 minutes for it, the students know that really it's not 2 minutes, especially if you haven't got a timer on the board. What it really means is I'll finish or I'll stop when you're finished, which means the students are in complete control of the time. There's no challenge. And you're kind of giving the onus back to them and just saying, well, just work in your comfort zone. So by removing the number 2 and starting to have things like, right, I'm going to give you 3 minutes to do this. I'm going to give you 4 minutes to do this. Suddenly that 3 minutes sounds less than 2 minutes, because it's like, oh, he's timing. He really means it. Then you add the timer on the board and you suddenly start to get real pace and real energy. And if you notice, if you ever give a class 2 minutes to do something, and when you set them off, they'll all just be like, oh yeah, okay. And suddenly when you say, right, you're going to have 3 minutes to do it. Everyone ready? Ready? Go. And you almost start them like the starting gun of a 100-meter sprint. Suddenly you see people grafting immediately and getting on with it, because actually they understand that it's an actual time. So stay away from 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, the obvious times, and start to go for 3 minutes, 6 minutes, 8 minutes. And if you really, really need to do 2 minutes, say to them, I'm going to give you 120 seconds to do this. And you see the difference of how they start that task and how much energy and drive there is, because suddenly you've just changed the language and you've changed the psychology of how long it's going to be for. Number 7, refusing to accept substandard work. And this is about us saying, I'm not just going to accept anything from you just so you've got it done and you've handed it in so you can't be told off. Actually, that's not good enough, and it's going to go back, because you don't want to spend more time marking it and feeding back on it than they have done it in the first place. So be happy to kind of say to the students at the start, if this is not good enough, it's going to go back and you will do it again. Okay, number 8, which is linked to that, is redrafting. And if we had a really important report to do, maybe a job application, maybe something that was really important to your job or to your career, I don't imagine that you would just write it to start with and hand your first draft in. You would probably redraft it, you would look over it again, you tweak it, you change it. I know I've done that with my writing when the books that I've published, that I'll always be redrafting and reading over it and getting somebody else to read it before I then hand in that final published manuscript. And that's really important for us to think about in our classrooms as well, is that actually, why do we give students just one chance to do it? Start to have a culture of redrafting where students will go over it again. They'll make it better. They'll see other people's opinions. They'll look at the people's work. They'll see models of excellence. They'll go back and they'll change and improve their own work. If we're only ever going to give them one chance to do it, well, I'll hand it in, that's it, I'm not really bothered. So it's about creating a culture of redrafting and wanting to constantly make things better all the time. Number 9, extension work should not be the same as the first work that you give them. And this is a fault that so many people make, is that a student finishes early in the class, you need to give them some extension work, so you give them more of the same. And if they've completed that, and they've completed the first work you've given them and they've got it all right, what's more of the same going to achieve, apart from just babysitting and occupying them? It achieves nothing at all. So it has to be something harder, has to be something different, has to be something more of a higher ability that's going to stretch them, rather than just, well, I've done some of this, I'll just do some more. That's a really, really poor way of creating challenge and extending their thinking. So think about that. If you are going to give extension work, it can't be more of the same. It needs to be something different. And lastly, number 10, questioning. We spoke about this in one of our other sessions. Use your questioning to push, to probe, to challenge, to drive. Never take that first answer. Hot seat people, have a hands down approach, be in charge of the questioning, challenge them with really deep thinking, and use your questioning as your real formative assessment tool to really challenge students at all times in your class, making sure you're stretching them to do the very, very best they can. So that's it. That's my top 10 tips for challenge. We will unpack this in far more detail in the face-to-face session itself. So bring your reflections, bring your notes, and bring your experiences so we can then talk about it with the rest of the group. Thank you.